Probably lean towards.
Okay, everybody, good morning. Appreciate the flexibility on a special meeting that we're having this morning before agenda review. So why don't we just go ahead and get to work. Special meeting for August 30th, 2024. Officially calling that meeting to order. Madam Clerk, first item.
Roll call. Commissioner Meitzner.
Present.
Commissioner Dennis.
Present.
Commissioner Howell.
Present.
Commissioner Lopez.
Present.
Chairman Beatty.
Present. And just to acknowledge Commissioner Hallis is joining us via Zoom, so everybody knows. Next item, please.
New business, item A, consideration of ComCare employment agreement for Javonthi Thigala, MD.
Oh, very good. Adrian Clark. Good morning, Adrian.
Good morning, Commissioners. Adrian Clark, Assistant County Counselor. I am bringing this item to you today for the approval of an employment agreement for an individual who's interested in working at ComCare as a child psychiatrist. This area, we face a big shortage in our community. I believe Tim is going to go more into the specific facts about that after I present the contract. But this is, I'll just say, a great opportunity for the county. Within the last couple of years, the county did invest some seed money in the KU Med Center Wichita Child and Adolescent Psychiatry Fellowship Program, in which Dr. Thigala is currently a participant. She previously completed a clinical rotation as part of her residency program and is now completing a rotation at ComCare as part of the fellowship. So to provide some clarity on that, as generally is the case, someone goes to med school and then they complete a residency, and now Dr. Thigala is in a fellowship program. So she's not actually fresh out of med school like some individuals would be. She has some experience, which justifies, first of all, our familiarity with her because she has worked at ComCare on multiple occasions, but also, any other facets of the contract itself. We are required as being a CCBHC to have psychiatry services, and because there's that shortage in our community and we are potentially facing some staffing changes at ComCare, due to potential retirements, it's important that we fill these roles in a timely manner. Generally, we would handle these agreements on the consent agenda. This one is slightly different in that as part of her employment with the county, Dr. Thigala does have to go through some different immigration processes in order to hold this position. And the county, as the interested party in employing her, would be essentially sponsoring her in that. Now, this is as part of a special meeting because there's a time-sensitive application process which she has to apply through. Otherwise, we would have brought this on a normal meeting like anything else. But because we face this shortage and because she's a great candidate and there's that need in our community, we do have an interest in getting this approved so that we don't miss the window and potentially miss out on having her as a part of our ComCare team. So at this point, we'll shift over to the contract, which we previously briefed you on. The contract remains the same as what you were briefed on, with two exceptions. The first being that there's been a slight change in the beginning of the initial term of employment. It previously reflected June 28th, but that was because we thought that there would be a different immigration process that was followed that would require that start date. And because we're able, or she'll be, she's able to apply through the state program, we're pushing that start date back 3 days to July 1st of 2025. So the reason that there's such a delay between when we approve this contract and when she starts is because it's not just a matter of getting a waiver, it's also getting authorization to work here for a set amount of time. The other change that was made does have to do with the salary. There is an agreed upon salary of $274,400, which is consistent, or for the most part, consistent with the market rate and consistent with what we tend to pay our psychiatrists at ComCare. Okay, and as part of that, she would also get a $10,000 one-time hire-on bonus 30 days after she starts. And again, that's a standard part of our contracts for these professionals. Everything else in the contract is generally our standard language. There is some language which pertains to immigration requirements, and that's really just a matter of we have to have it in there so that she will have an easier time getting approved. It is, other than that, like I said, our standard contract, there's some additional potential termination language. The amendment language is slightly different in that it references immigration needs. But really, aside from those, this is just like any other employment agreement we would have for a psychiatrist at home care.
Okay.
Any questions
Very
about
good.
this agreement itself?
Commissioners, any specific questions about the agreement? I think I will have some questions about the need in child psychiatry and the KU program and things of that sort. But in light for Adrian, in light for the contract and the agreement, are there any specific questions? Okay. Tim, would you be able to tell me a little bit about, we have a program at KU that the commission has put some seed money in a few years ago. Can you tell us a little bit about that program? And
Correct. Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners, for this opportunity to kind of deviate the schedule a little bit and get this in front of you today. It's really critical that we fill this position. About 4 years ago, KU approached us and said that they were interested in initiating a child psychiatry fellowship in order to create additional child psychiatrists in the state of Kansas and in our local community because of the significant shortage, not only nationwide, but here in Kansas as well. And their goal is to address that need through this fellowship. So the fellowship is additional training beyond the physicians going through med school, going through residency, becoming licensed doctors. And so they spend an additional 2 years in settings where their work can be supervised and advised, and they just develop better skills that way. And as you mentioned, the county did provide some seed money to KU so that they could get that program started. And this is going to be the first fruit from that opportunity. Dr. Thigala is in her second year of that program right now. She will spend part of that time with ComCare, again, working with our medical staff and the rest of our staff that deliver services to children in need. So that's the genesis of this.
Okay.
There is a significant shortage across the state.
could you help us understand the shortage in the state and here locally?
When KU started talking about this, instituting this program, national standards would indicate that there should be 400 child psychiatrists in Kansas practicing. Now, no state meets that standard right now. In Kansas, there are 69 child psychiatrists. The vast majority of them work in the Northeast Corridor, KU and Kansas City. There are 6 child psychiatrists.
6.
One of those is Dr. Jenkins, who has worked for ComCare for more than 20 years. She's locally, regionally, nationally respected as a child psychiatrist. She is retiring at the end of this year. She'll retire in December. And she has a caseload right now of 189 children. There's another unassigned caseload of about 70. So we really do anticipate Dr. Thigala coming to work and getting right to it. Again, there's a tremendous need here in our community. She'll help fill that need. And we know that there are additional folks in the community that are looking for services for their children. We also know that an early intervention, a correct diagnosis, and an early start to treatment helps set that child on a path that's going to be better for them and for their social determinants of health. And it's better for the community and their family as well.
I think some people would be surprised to know that we actually employ psychiatrists through ComCare. And obviously, we're talking about a compensation wage, $270,000, give or take some. Tell us, how does that compare? I need to understand contextually, how does this compare with maybe private practice or other people in child psychiatry?
What we've learned through our research, and Dr. Lear is our medical director, he is connected with the med school and is aware of all of the different graduates, and he's had an opportunity to work with Dr. Thigala. We know that other child psychiatrists are making between $350 and $450 or $500,000. The earning potential for people in this role is pretty great, mostly driven by that shortage. They're in high demand. It's a supply and demand situation. And so we're very fortunate that we've got a quality medical staff working for us. We know that some of the medical staff that work for us like to work with us because we have wraparound services for the kids that they treat. So we've got case management, we've got therapy on site. And so they see the fruits of that, their treatment and the other treatment and better outcomes for the kids that they
That's
serve.
helpful for me. Thank you, Tim. Commissioners, any other questions on this specific contract or services? And Dr. Thigala. Commissioner Howe.
Chairman, I have a couple questions.
One second, Commissioner Howe, Commissioner Dennis, and Commissioner Howe.
Thank you. Real quickly, last week during our board meeting, I mentioned during other that we had an opportunity to go over to KU and meet the people that are involved in this. And the reason they invited us is because we did put seed money in it several years ago. And we're now bearing the fruits of that through this hire. They had a short reception after that, and I did go to the reception, and during the reception at that time, I did not know Dr. Thigala was applying for this job, but I did meet her and talk to her for a period of time. And later on, her husband came over, and I had an opportunity to meet him. He also is a professor of teaching as a doctor there at KU Med Center. So I have met both of them, and I think this is a fantastic opportunity for Sedgwick County. And again, it bears fruits of what we put in and started several years ago. So I'm very proud of the fact that we did that earlier. Thank you.
Commissioner Howe.
Well, I appreciate Commissioner Dennis's question or comments just a moment ago, because one of my questions is this person coming out of a pipeline that has anything to do with that seed money we provided? The Grow Your Own Psychiatrist program. Does this person have anything to do with that program?
There's two different programs, Commissioner Howell. Grow Your Own is for people that are licensed at a lower level, so master's level clinicians. This physician, Dr. Thigala, is coming through the KU fellowship program, which started a couple of years ago. She's in her second year, and so it is a pipeline for psychiatrists, and we're pretty proud to be able to bring her aboard.
Is she in the program because of the program that we created with some financial support to that?
Yes, she's part of that fellowship program at KU Med.
Okay. Well, one of my questions is, again, I know that Chairman did ask some questions. I'm looking at the answers to those questions because I was on that email. And one of the answers to the questions is how was this pay levels established? And it says here, using the most recently hired child psychiatrist from 2022, and then applying an inflationary factor to 2025. That's what brings us to the 274.4. And my question would be, how do we know that person that was hired in 2022 was a market rate? And the reason I bring that up is I'm looking at several websites that do salary reference. It's a service on the internet, provide references for child psychiatry in different states. And it talks about in Kansas, the average in Kansas is $227,000 a year. I don't know, the range is much wider than that. In fact, I found another website just now that talks about the average on this website is $249. The maximum is $408. You mentioned $500,000, but the chart actually ends at $408,000. There's no one above that number, apparently nationally. And the average on this one, which is not for Kansas, is $249. For Kansas, for the one website says the average for Kansas is $227. So I don't know how these rates were established, but it seems to me that this is maybe not the right salary.
Yeah, Commissioner, I can tell you that in 2022, we had that position vacant for 9 or 10 months before we were able to hire that physician. we've had another psychiatrist position vacant for over 2 years. We've heard anecdotal stories from other similar community agencies, CMHCs or CCBHCs, that are partnering to hire psychiatrists for more than $600,000 a year. That I'm not sure where the data, I don't dispute the data that you found. I just know that our local market would indicate that we're going to have to pay above market.
You mentioned also there were 6 child psychiatrists in the Wichita area. Are those private sector?
Two work for us. 1 or 2 work at KU. I believe there's one that's in private practice. The others work at either our office at KU, or there's possibly one at Camber.
Okay. And then you mentioned there's 69 in Kansas. Again, we have 1/6 of the state's population in Sedgwick County. I don't know where these 69 are, but it seems to me that only having 6 in Wichita seems kind of like very surprising. Only about less than 1/10 of the state's child psychiatrists are in Wichita, Sedgwick County. Less than 1/10. That surprises me that that's such a low number.
Yeah, right. There are county upon county west of Highway 81 that don't have a child psychiatrist, and much of the child psychiatry that's delivered in Kansas is by telehealth through national healthcare organizations at a cost much greater than what we're contemplating.
Okay, I guess, and I have some questions about the process today, but I guess that's a discussion for another day. I don't know that I like the way this was negotiated, but I'll hold my comments for that for another day. But all right, that's all my questions at the moment. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner, thank you. Commissioner Meister.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know this has been kind of, we're on a deadline, and so I didn't have a chance to, but I recall that the Business Journal every year puts in salaries of local governments, and at the city of Wichita, I see them, and I pretty much knew everyone by name. And then I go to Sedgwick County, and I think of the top 15, they're all doctor, way before even our highest paid is probably, Tom or the sheriff. They're way down at the bottom. So I don't know any of those. So it's I always was amazed that Sedgwick County government is responsible for what you referenced earlier for something in the medical world. But I wish that I would have had that more handy to share with the fellow commissioners. It's public document, but it is, so that number may sound big, and for a lot of people and county employees and others, it might sound big, but it's right in line with the medical world of what we have to supply.
That's correct. Thank you for pointing that out.
And Tim, the highest compensation on our staffing table, Sedgwick County government, I think, is child psychiatrist. Is that correct? Or
actually, our medical director, the
Medical
second
director.
highest is the
Second
child
highest.
psychiatrist.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
If I could
Commissioner
just
Lopez.
ask a question, thank you. Obviously with the services that they're providing, there's a billing that comes with it as well. So there's revenue generated. Can you just explain that a little bit so we can see, yes, it is a large number, but a lot of that is coming back through the revenue that they're bringing.
That's an excellent point, Commissioner. Our medical providers are able to bill for the services they provide with the enhanced rates from the CCBHC certification that we received a couple of years ago. I'm confident that in this situation, they'll be able to recover the costs associated with their salary through service delivery and reimbursement from payers.
Okay, thank you so much.
It's helpful. Well, this is good education too, and I'm grateful that for the program that is seeding in this pipeline of this desperate need in this community. So, commissioners, any other questions on this specific new business item?
I just have I guess more of a comment. Sure. So it seems like one of the problems we have right now is I really like the free market, but one of the problems with the free market in this case is there's a limit on the number of students that are allowed to go into these programs. it's almost a crisis by a limit on how many students can enter this field. And again, this the same thing happens in other fields. I mean, I think dentistry is one of those things that's kind of like that as well. But if there's a shortage on child psychiatry, I don't know why KU doesn't enlarge their program and essentially meet the need. But people who are in the field may not feel that this is the way to solve this problem. We can solve this by, again, I hate to say this, but using taxpayer money is the way we're solving this today, and we're actually dabbling, essentially creating competition for the private sector. This is very, very upsetting, actually, to have to do this, and I feel like we are paying above market because there's a shortage. But I guess I'll take your comments, the comments of the meetings thus far, that says there is a real problem in Sedgwick County. There is a shortage, and we do need to meet that shortage. And if we don't hire this person, we don't have a solution to the community. So I guess we have no choice but really to go forward. And I don't like being in this position. I think this is a bad position to be in. I'm not sure what the best answer is, but part of the problem is KU, and the other, and I would feel a lot better if this person actually provided, again, since most of the services will be billed, they should be able to do this in the private sector. We shouldn't have to do this through ComCare. But anyway, those are some comments. I guess I'll support this reluctantly, but I'm bothered by the fact that we're in this position that we're in.
Okay, Commissioner, thank you. Other questions or comments? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the agreement for the ComCare employment agreement for Dr. Thigala.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Meitzner.
Aye.
Commissioner Dennis. Commissioner Howell.
Aye.
Commissioner Lopez.
Aye.
Chairman Beatty.
Aye. Any other business need to come before the commission? Seeing none, we will officially adjourn the special meeting. Thank you, everyone, for being flexible.